What would you do if you were alone, 100 feet below the desert surface, wedged inside a canyon so narrow in places it barely fits your shoulders? I mean, it's hard to imagine. Like, picture that and then add it to the fact that your right arm is pinned under an 800-pound boulder and nobody knows where you are. All you have are 2 burritos, some candy bar crumbs, and 1 bottle of water. Well, that's where Aron Ralston found himself on April 26, 2003. Why did fate lead him here? Well, for a dream. He was a mechanical engineering graduate from Carnegie Mellon who had quit a job at Intel to pursue mountaineering full-time, relocated to Aspen, Colorado, and was working his way through all 59 of Colorado's 14ers, mountains over 14,000 feet, solo, in winter, which had never been done before. Just 2 months earlier, he'd been caught in an avalanche on Resolution Peak and walked away from it. He was someone who spent years learning to read dangerous terrain and preparing ahead for it. And still, he left for Blue John Canyon that Saturday morning without telling a single person where he was going. At 2:41 in the afternoon, he was 7 miles into the canyon when a chalkstone, a boulder, lodged between the canyon walls. It shifted under his weight and came down on his right arm. His hand went gray almost immediately from the loss of circulation. He tried everything over the next several days, like chipping at the rock with a cheap multi-tool, building a pulley system with his climbing rope and trying to lift the boulder, and even screaming for help apparently when he thought he heard voices that turned out to be a kangaroo rat shuffling in its nest. Nothing worked. He ran out of water on day 4 and had been drinking his own urine for over a day by the time he made his final recordings. He carved his name into the canyon wall, along with his birth year and what he believed would be his year of death. By day 5, he could smell his own hand decomposing, and of course, it was. The tissue had been rotting without circulation for days, and when he poked it with his knife blade, it punctured like room temperature butter. That night, he had a small vision of a blonde boy running across a sunlit floor, a sun he hadn't named yet, and a future he thought he couldn't reach. And when he woke up from it, something had shifted. On the morning of May 1st, 127 hours after the boulder fell, Ralston realized he didn't need to cut through his bones, he could break them. Using the torque of his own body weight against the trapped arm, he snapped both the radius and ulna just above the wrist. Then he took his 2-inch knife and spent an hour cutting through skin, muscle, and tendons, leaving the arteries for last because he knew once those were severed, the clock was running. He descended down a 65-foot cliff on the way out, then hiked 6 miles through the desert, dehydrated and losing blood, before he ran into a Dutch family who gave him water and Oreos and called for help. 4 hours after the amputation, rescuers reached him.